My sister asked me to work as kitchen help at her wedding while charging me $150 for dinner. I said no due to health issues. Then at our grandmother's 85th birthday party, she publicly humiliated me in front of the entire family, saying my health problems were just excuses for special treatment. I received my sister's wedding invitation 3 weeks ago. The envelope looked elegant with gold lettering. I placed it on my kitchen counter and called my husband over to see it. We both smiled looking at the beautiful design. The invitation was addressed to both of us, which made me assume we were both invited as regular guests. I have always loved attending weddings. My sister Jenny, 28F, and I grew up in a small town where everyone knew each other. Our families have deep roots, they're going back 3 generations. Jenny and I are only 2 years apart. I'm Joelle, 30F, and work as a part-time bookkeeper while managing a chronic autoimmune condition that affects my joints and energy levels. Our relationship had its ups and downs over the years. When we were teenagers, Jenny was the popular one who played volleyball and dated the quarterback. I spent most of my time reading or helping our grandmother with her garden. Jenny went to college on a partial sports scholarship while I stayed home and took community college classes. She moved to the city after graduation and got a job at a marketing firm. I married my high school boyfriend Zach, 32M, and we stayed in our hometown. Despite living in different places, we talked regularly. Jenny visited for holidays and family gatherings. She met her fiancé Ronald, 30M, at a work conference 2 years ago. He works in finance and seems like a decent guy, though we have only met him 3 times. The first time was at Christmas dinner last year where he spent most of the evening on his phone. The second time was at our cousin's graduation party where he complained about the food being too spicy. The third time was at our grandmother's funeral 6 months ago where he kept checking his watch during the service. Jenny called me after Ronald proposed. She was excited about planning a destination wedding at a resort 3 hours away from our town. The venue costs were significant, she explained, which meant they had to be selective about certain aspects of the day. I offered to help with decorations or whatever she needed. She thanked me but said she had everything under control. 2 weeks before I received the invitation, Jenny mentioned during a phone call that they were expecting around 180 guests. She said the venue had specific requirements and limitations they had to work around. I assumed this meant typical wedding logistics like seating arrangements and meal planning. When I opened the actual invitation, everything looked standard. Beautiful script font announcing the ceremony at 2 p.m. followed by dinner and dancing. Below the main invitation was a smaller card with additional information. At first glance, it appeared to be the usual details about dress code and directions. Then I read it more carefully. The card stated that while Zach was invited to attend the ceremony and reception as a regular guest, I was assigned to work in the kitchen helping the catering staff throughout the entire event. It specified that I would need to arrive 2 hours early to assist with food preparation and setup. During the ceremony, I would be responsible for keeping the appetizers warm and ready for the cocktail hour. During dinner, I would help serve plates and refill water glasses. After dinner, I would help with cleanup while the other guests enjoyed dancing. The card mentioned that 4 other female relatives had been assigned similar duties. It noted that we should still dress appropriately for a wedding since we might appear in some photos while serving. The card also included a link to pay for our meals, which were $150 each since we would be eating the same food as the other guests, just in the kitchen area during our breaks. At the bottom was a link to their gift registry with a note suggesting that gifts in the $75 to $150 range would be most appreciated. I read the card 3 times before showing it to Zach. He picked it up and his forehead wrinkled as he went through it. He set it down and looked at me. We sat in silence for several minutes. My first thought was whether this was some kind of mistake. Maybe the cards got mixed up and I received someone else's assignment by accident. But my name was clearly printed at the top of the card along with my specific duties. The more I thought about it, the more problems I identified with this arrangement. My autoimmune condition causes unpredictable flare-ups that affect my energy and joint mobility. Some days I feel fine and can do normal activities. Other days, my hands are too stiff to grip objects properly and my knees ache from minimal walking. I take medication that helps, but it does not eliminate all symptoms. Working in a kitchen for 8 hours would be physically challenging on a good day. On a bad day, it would be impossible. I could not predict how I would feel on the wedding day, which was still 3 weeks away. Even if I felt decent that morning, the physical demands could trigger a flare-up that would last for days afterward. Beyond the physical concerns, there was the issue of fairness. Jenny and I have had our differences, but I always assumed she valued me as her sister and wanted me present at her wedding as family, not as unpaid labor. Zach would be sitting with the other guests, eating his meal at the proper time, and enjoying the celebration while I would be washing dishes in the back. The financial aspect was particularly irritating. Paying $150 to work at someone's wedding seemed backwards. If Jenny needed help with catering costs, she could have asked family members to contribute money toward the reception or chosen a less expensive venue. Instead, she created this system where certain people had to pay for the privilege of working. I called our mother to ask if she had received a similar card. She said her invitation was normal and she was assigned to a table near the front with other immediate family members. When I described my card, she was quiet for a long time. Then she said Jenny had mentioned needing help with the catering, but she assumed Jenny meant hiring additional staff. I asked if she knew who the other 4 women were who received kitchen assignments. She said she thought it might be our cousins Lisa and Maria, plus Jenny's former college roommate and one of Ronald's sisters. All of them were close family or longtime friends, not distant relatives or acquaintances. This pattern made me wonder what criteria Jenny used to decide who would be guests versus who would be workers. Zach was included as a regular guest even though he barely knew Jenny and had no relationship with Ronald. Meanwhile, I was assigned to kitchen duty despite being her only sister and one of the closest family members. Our mother suggested I call Jenny directly to discuss the situation. She offered to speak with Jenny first, but I decided to handle it myself. This was between Jenny and me, and involving our mother might make things more complicated. I waited 2 days before calling, hoping I could approach the conversation calmly. Jenny answered on the third ring and sounded busy. I could hear traffic in the background, which meant she was probably walking somewhere in the city. I told her I had received the invitation and wanted to clarify my assignment. She immediately became defensive and said she had thought carefully about who would be best suited for different roles at the wedding. She explained that the venue required them to provide additional help for the catering staff due to the large guest count and specific timeline requirements. I mentioned my health condition and explained that standing and working in a kitchen for 8 hours would be difficult for me. She said she understood but pointed out that I could take breaks as needed and that the other women assigned to kitchen duty would help cover for me if I needed to rest. Then I brought up the $150 meal charge. Jenny's tone became sharper. She said the venue charged the same amount per person regardless of whether someone was a guest or a worker, and she could not afford to cover meals for people who were not paying. She added that everyone else assigned to kitchen duty had already agreed to pay without complaining. I asked why Zach was invited as a regular guest while I was assigned to work. Jenny paused for several seconds before saying that they needed an even number of people at each table for seating arrangements, and Zach fit better into their layout than I did. This explanation did not make sense to me. Wedding seating charts are flexible, and one person could easily be moved to balance the tables. There had to be another reason she did not want to share. I told Jenny I needed time to think about whether I could commit to the kitchen assignment given my health limitations. She said I needed to respond soon because they had to finalize numbers with the catering company. Then she hung up. That evening, Zach and I discussed our options. He offered to decline his invitation and stay home with me, but I did not want him to miss the wedding because of my situation. He suggested we both attend as regular guests and offer to pay the extra cost for my meal, but Jenny had specifically assigned me to kitchen duty, not given me a choice between guest and worker status. I considered calling back and explaining in more detail how my condition affects me, but Jenny already knew about my health problems. She had visited during 2 of my worst flare-ups in recent years and seen how limited my mobility became. If she thought I could handle kitchen work despite knowing my limitations, then more explanation probably would not change her mind. The deadline for responding was approaching. I needed to decide whether to accept the kitchen assignment, decline the invitation entirely, or try to negotiate a different arrangement. None of these options felt satisfactory, but I had to choose something. Update 1: I sent Jenny a text message declining the kitchen assignment. I explained that my health condition made it impossible for me to work in a kitchen for 8 hours, and I wished her a wonderful wedding day. I did not mention anything about being excluded as a guest or the meal charge. I kept the message brief and polite. Jenny responded 2 days later asking if I was declining to attend the wedding entirely or just refusing to help with kitchen duties. I clarified that I was declining to attend since kitchen work was my only option for participation. She replied with a long message saying she was disappointed that I was not willing to help family during an important celebration. Zach decided to attend the wedding anyway since his invitation was separate from mine. I encouraged him to go and represent our family. The wedding was on a Saturday, so I planned to spend the day working in my garden and catching up on household projects. The morning of the wedding, our cousin Lisa called me. She had also been assigned to kitchen duty and wanted to know if I was planning to attend. When I told her I had declined, she became very talkative. She said she had spoken with Maria, Jenny's former roommate, and Ronald's sister about their assignments. All of them had concerns but felt pressured to agree because they did not want to cause family drama. Lisa mentioned that she had called the wedding venue directly to ask about their catering policies. The person she spoke with seemed confused when she asked about guests being required to help kitchen staff. They told her that was not a standard arrangement and that professional catering staff typically handled all food service independently. This information bothered me because it suggested Jenny had created the kitchen assignments for reasons other than venue requirements. I decided not to investigate further since I had already declined to attend. Zach left for the wedding at noon since he needed to drive 3 hours to reach the venue. He promised to text me updates throughout the day. Around 2 p.m., he sent a message saying the ceremony was beautiful and Jenny looked very happy. At 4 p.m., he texted that cocktail hour was going well and the venue was impressive. At 6 p.m., I received a call from Lisa. She was crying and speaking very quickly. She said she needed to tell me what had happened at the reception. I asked her to slow down and explain clearly. Lisa said that when she and the other assigned women arrived at the kitchen, the catering manager seemed surprised to see them. He told them that his staff was fully prepared to handle the event and did not need additional help. When Lisa showed him Jenny's card with the kitchen assignments, he looked confused and said he had never seen anything like it before. The catering manager called Jenny over to clarify the situation. Jenny became flustered and said there had been a misunderstanding. She told the women they could join the other guests for dinner instead of working in the kitchen. However, she also mentioned that since they had not paid for guest meals, they would need to eat from a separate buffet set up in a side room. Lisa said the separate buffet consisted of sandwiches and salad while the regular guests were served a plated dinner with chicken, salmon, or vegetarian options. The women ate their sandwiches quickly and then were told they could watch the reception from the back of the room but should not take seats at any tables since those were reserved for paying guests. At this point in Lisa's call, I could hear Maria talking in the background. Lisa put the call on speaker so Maria could speak directly to me. Maria said she felt humiliated by the entire situation. She had driven 4 hours to attend the wedding, bought a new dress, and paid for a hotel room. Instead of being treated as a family member, she spent the evening standing against the wall watching other people dance. Lisa took the phone back and said Ronald's sister had left the reception early because she was so uncomfortable. Jenny's former roommate stayed until the end but spent most of the time in the bathroom crying. Lisa and Maria left together around 9 p.m., even though the reception was supposed to continue until midnight. After Lisa hung up, I sat on my couch processing what I had heard. The kitchen assignments were not based on venue requirements or practical needs. Jenny had created a separate category of attendees who were expected to pay money and receive inferior treatment while contributing labor or at least being available to contribute labor. I wondered whether Jenny had planned this arrangement from the beginning or if it developed as wedding costs increased. Either way, she had decided that certain family members and friends were worth less than others and structured her wedding to reflect that hierarchy. Zach came home around 11 p.m. He was quiet when he walked in and sat down next to me without saying anything. I asked how the rest of the reception went. He said it was fine, but he had noticed that some people seemed to be missing from the later part of the evening. When he asked other guests about it, they mentioned that a few women had left early but no one knew why. I told Zach about my conversation with Lisa. His face changed as I described what had happened with the kitchen assignments and the separate buffet. He said he wished he had known about the situation while he was there because he would have spoken up or left in solidarity. Zach mentioned that during dinner, he was seated at a table with people he did not know well. The conversation was polite but superficial. He said it felt strange to be eating an expensive meal while knowing that my cousins were eating sandwiches in another room because they could not afford the guest meal price. I asked if Jenny had seemed happy during the reception. Zach said she appeared to be enjoying herself and spent most of the evening dancing and taking photos. He did not think she was aware that the kitchen-assigned women had left early, or if she was aware, it did not seem to bother her. We talked until almost 1 a.m. about the entire situation. Zach said he felt guilty for attending the wedding after learning how poorly my family members had been treated. I told him I was glad he went because now we had a complete picture of what happened. The next morning, I received a text from Jenny thanking everyone who attended the wedding and saying it was the perfect day she had always dreamed of. The message was sent to a group that included me, even though I had not attended. I did not respond to the message. Update 2: Our mother called me last week asking if I had spoken with Jenny recently. I told her we had not talked since before the wedding. She said Jenny had been complaining to family members that some people were spreading rumors about her wedding and making her look bad. I asked what kind of rumors Jenny was referring to. Our mother said Jenny claimed that certain family members were exaggerating what happened at the reception and making it sound worse than it actually was. Jenny apparently told people that she had offered everyone the same food and treatment, but some guests chose to leave early for their own personal reasons. This version of events contradicted what Lisa and Maria had told me, so I called Lisa to get more details. Lisa said she had been getting phone calls from various family members asking about the wedding. She had been honest about her experience, which included eating sandwiches while other guests had plated dinners and being told to stand in the back instead of sitting at tables. Lisa mentioned that our aunt had called Jenny directly to ask about the different treatment of guests. Jenny had become defensive and said that Lisa was misremembering what happened because she was stressed about other personal issues. Jenny claimed that all guests received the same meal options and seating arrangements. I found it concerning that Jenny was contradicting the accounts of multiple people who had been present at the wedding. Lisa, Maria, Ronald's sister, and Jenny's former roommate had all described similar experiences, but Jenny was claiming their memories were inaccurate. Our mother asked if I planned to reach out to Jenny to resolve the misunderstanding. I explained that there was no misunderstanding from my perspective. Jenny had invited me to work in her kitchen for 8 hours while paying $150 for the privilege. When I declined due to health limitations, she did not offer an alternative way for me to attend as a regular guest. The situation was clear regardless of what happened to the other women at the reception. 2 days after talking with our mother, I received a Facebook message from Jenny. She said she had heard that people were talking about her wedding and spreading false information. She wanted to set the record straight about what actually happened. According to Jenny's message, the venue had required additional help with food service due to health department regulations. She had asked family members to assist because hiring professional staff would have been too expensive. Everyone who helped was fed the same meal as other guests and was treated with appreciation and respect. Jenny wrote that some people had chosen to leave the reception early for personal reasons unrelated to their assignments or treatment. She was hurt that these individuals were now making negative comments about her special day instead of being happy for her marriage. The message ended with Jenny saying she hoped we could move past this situation and maintain our family relationship. She suggested that miscommunications had led to hurt feelings, but the important thing was supporting each other going forward. I read Jenny's message several times before deciding how to respond. Her account of the evening differed significantly from what multiple attendees had described to me. Either several people were lying about their experiences, or Jenny was rewriting history to avoid responsibility for how she had treated her guests. I sent back a brief message acknowledging that I had received her explanation. I did not agree or disagree with her version of events since I had not been present to witness what happened. I also did not commit to moving past the situation or maintaining our relationship at the previous level. Jenny responded asking if I was planning to attend family gatherings going forward or if I intended to avoid events where she would be present. I told her I would make decisions about family events based on various factors as they arose. This seemed to frustrate Jenny because she sent another message saying she needed to know where we stood as sisters. She wrote that family relationships require forgiveness and compromise, especially after special occasions like weddings where emotions run high and misunderstandings can occur. I replied that I understood her perspective but needed time to process everything that had happened. I suggested that we both focus on our own lives for now rather than trying to force a resolution. Jenny did not respond to my last message, but I noticed that she removed me from several social media groups related to family events and updates. Our mother mentioned that Jenny had asked her not to share information about my life during their phone calls because Jenny needed space to deal with wedding stress. Lisa called me yesterday to say that she had also received messages from Jenny asking her to stop discussing the wedding with other family members. Jenny had told Lisa that continued complaints about the reception were causing problems in her marriage because Ronald was hearing negative feedback about their special day. Maria sent me a text saying that Jenny had blocked her on social media after Maria declined to retract her account of the reception experience. Maria said she had never posted anything publicly about the wedding, but she had answered honestly when family members asked her directly about what happened. I have been thinking about how family dynamics change after significant events. Jenny's wedding has created divisions that did not exist before. Some family members are taking sides, while others are trying to stay neutral and maintain relationships with everyone involved. Our mother continues to encourage reconciliation, but she acknowledges that both Jenny and I have valid concerns about how the situation was handled. She said she wishes the wedding planning process had included more communication to prevent misunderstandings. I am not actively seeking conflict with Jenny, but I am also not willing to pretend that everything is normal between us. Her decision to treat certain family members as second-class guests while charging them money revealed something about her priorities and values that I cannot ignore. The financial aspect still bothers me the most. If Jenny could not afford to host 180 guests properly, she should have planned a smaller wedding within her budget. Instead, she created a system where some people subsidized others' experiences while receiving inferior treatment themselves. Update 3: Our grandmother's birthday party was scheduled for last weekend. She was turning 85, and our mother had been planning the celebration for months. The party was supposed to bring together extended family members who had not seen each other since Jenny's wedding. I debated whether to attend because I knew Jenny would be there. Zach encouraged me to go since the party was for our grandmother, not for Jenny. I decided to attend but planned to keep interactions with Jenny brief and polite. When we arrived at the community center where the party was being held, I saw Jenny and Ronald sitting at a table near the front. Jenny looked up when I walked in but did not wave or acknowledge me. I greeted our grandmother and other family members before finding seats at a table toward the back. The party proceeded normally for the first hour. People shared stories about our grandmother and looked through old photo albums. Our grandmother seemed happy to have everyone together and was enjoying the attention. During the dinner portion of the party, our uncle stood up to give a toast about our grandmother's impact on the family. He mentioned how she had always emphasized the importance of treating everyone with kindness and respect, regardless of their circumstances or limitations. As he was speaking, Jenny suddenly stood up and interrupted him. She said she needed to address something that had been bothering her for months. She looked directly at me and began talking about how some family members had been spreading lies about her wedding and trying to ruin her reputation. Jenny said she had tried to handle the situation privately, but since people continued to gossip and make false accusations, she needed to set the record straight publicly. She claimed that everyone at her wedding had been treated equally and that any complaints were based on misunderstandings or jealousy. The room became very quiet. Our grandmother looked confused and asked what was happening. Our mother tried to redirect Jenny's attention back to the birthday celebration, but Jenny continued talking. Jenny said that I had refused to help with her wedding and then convinced other family members to complain about their experiences. She claimed that I was jealous because she had succeeded in life while I had stayed in our hometown and never accomplished anything significant. At this point, Lisa stood up and said that Jenny's accusations were completely wrong. Lisa described exactly what had happened at the wedding reception, including the separate buffet and being told to stand in the back of the room. Maria nodded and confirmed Lisa's account. Jenny became more agitated and said that Lisa and Maria were lying to support me because we were all bitter about not being included in the main celebration. She said the three of us had formed an alliance to attack her marriage and her happiness. Our uncle tried to calm Jenny down and suggested that wedding discussions should happen at a different time and place. Jenny ignored him and continued talking about how ungrateful and jealous certain family members were. Ronald finally stood up and took Jenny's arm, suggesting they should leave. Jenny shook him off and said she was not finished defending herself against false accusations. She pointed at me and said I had ruined her wedding by refusing to participate and then poisoned other people against her. I had remained quiet during Jenny's entire speech, but at this point I stood up and spoke. I said that I had declined to work in her kitchen due to health limitations and had not attended the wedding at all. I had not spread rumors or convinced anyone to complain about their experiences. People had shared their own experiences with me, but I had not initiated those conversations. Jenny said that my health problems were just an excuse to avoid helping family and that I used my condition to get sympathy and special treatment. She said I was selfish and had always expected other people to accommodate my limitations instead of trying harder to participate normally. Our grandmother started crying at this point. She asked everyone to stop arguing and focus on celebrating her birthday. Several other family members gathered around her to provide comfort and support. Zach and I decided to leave immediately. We said goodbye to our grandmother and walked out while Jenny was still talking to Ronald near their table. As we reached the parking lot, we could hear raised voices continuing inside the building. Our mother called me the next morning to apologize for what had happened. She said Jenny and Ronald had left shortly after we did, and the party had continued quietly for another hour. Our grandmother had recovered from her initial upset but kept asking why people were fighting at her birthday celebration. Lisa called that afternoon to check on me. She said several family members had approached her after we left to ask about the wedding situation. She had provided factual accounts of what happened, and most people seemed to understand why she, Maria, and I were upset about our treatment. Our cousin David, who had been seated near Jenny during her outburst, told Lisa that he was shocked by Jenny's behavior and comments about my health condition. He said he had never seen Jenny act so aggressively toward family members before. Ronald sent me a text message 2 days later apologizing for what had happened at the party. He said Jenny had been under a lot of stress since the wedding and was not handling family conflicts well. He asked if there was anything he could do to help resolve the situation. I replied that I appreciated his concern but that the issues between Jenny and me were not something he needed to fix. I suggested that Jenny might benefit from taking time to think about how she wanted to handle family relationships going forward. Our mother has stopped encouraging reconciliation between Jenny and me. She said she realized after the birthday party that the problems were more serious than she had initially understood. She also said she was disappointed in how Jenny had spoken about my health condition in front of the entire family. Jenny blocked me on all social media platforms after the birthday party. She also told our mother that she did not want to attend family events if I was going to be present. Our mother said she would not choose sides but that everyone was welcome at family gatherings as long as they behaved respectfully. I have not attempted to contact Jenny since the birthday party. The things she said about my health condition and my life choices revealed how she actually views me, and I do not see any benefit in trying to repair our relationship. Zach and I have continued attending family events where Jenny is not present. Our relationships with other family members have not been affected by the conflict with Jenny. Most people seem to understand that the situation resulted from Jenny's decisions rather than anyone else's actions. Our grandmother's health has declined since her birthday party. Our mother said she has been asking about why Jenny and I are not speaking to each other, but the family has decided not to explain the details since it would only upset her more. I have accepted that my relationship with Jenny is over. The wedding situation revealed fundamental differences in our values and priorities that cannot be resolved through conversation or compromise. Jenny chose to prioritize her image and budget over treating family members with basic respect and dignity. The birthday party incident confirmed that Jenny views my health condition as a character flaw rather than a medical reality. Her willingness to attack me publicly for declining to work at her wedding showed a level of selfishness and cruelty that I cannot overlook. I am focusing on maintaining positive relationships with family members who treat me with kindness and understanding. Jenny's absence from my life has eliminated a source of stress and conflict that I did not fully recognize until it was gone. Now let's move to the next story. Story 2. My parents favored my sister for years. When I stopped playing along, they disowned me right before I started college. Now I'm homeless before college. Hey Reddit, I'm in a really tough spot and could use some advice. I'm Zoe, 18F, and I've always felt like the black sheep of my family. My parents, Diana, 46F, and Greg, 49M, have always favored my older sister Cassie, 21F. Growing up, it was always clear that Cassie was the golden child and I was just there. For as long as I can remember, my parents have showered Cassie with attention, praise, and support while I've been left to fend for myself. When we were kids, Cassie's artwork always got prime placement on the fridge while mine was tucked away in a drawer. In elementary school, I remember working really hard on a science project about the solar system. I spent weeks crafting each planet out of paper mache and researching facts to present. When I showed it to my parents, they barely glanced at it before turning their attention back to Cassie's math homework. It was crushing. As we got older, the favoritism only became more apparent. In middle school, I joined the debate team and discovered I had a real talent for public speaking. I was excited to finally have something that was mine, something I excelled at. But even when I won competitions, my parents' reaction was lukewarm at best. They'd say things like "That's nice, honey," before quickly changing the subject to Cassie's latest swimming achievement. Speaking of swimming, that was Cassie's thing. She was a natural in the water and joined the swim team in high school. My parents never missed a single one of her meets. They'd cheer from the stands, take dozens of photos, and always treat her to a celebratory dinner afterward, whether she won or lost. Meanwhile, I was lucky if they remembered to pick me up from debate practice. The favoritism extended to birthdays and holidays too. Cassie would get lavish gifts and parties while I'd be lucky to get a card. One year when I was 14, I spent weeks dropping hints about this art set I really wanted for my birthday. I even left the catalog open on the kitchen table with the item circled. When the day came, my parents gave me a $20 gift card to a bookstore and said they forgot to get me a proper gift. I was disappointed but not surprised. Meanwhile, they threw Cassie an elaborate Sweet 16 party just a month later, complete with a DJ, catered food, and a new car. Yes, a car. I couldn't believe it. I tried for years to win their approval. I got good grades, participated in extracurriculars, helped around the house, but nothing was ever good enough. My accomplishments were always met with indifference while Cassie got praised for the smallest things. Once, I stayed up all night to finish a history paper and got an A+. My teacher even wrote a note saying it was one of the best papers she'd ever read. When I showed it to my mom, she just said that's what we expect from you and went back to helping Cassie with her college applications. It really did a number on my self-esteem growing up. I started to believe that maybe I just wasn't as good or as worthy as Cassie. I withdrew into myself, spending more and more time alone in my room. I threw myself into my studies and my debate team, hoping that if I just achieved enough, my parents would finally notice me. But no matter what I did, it never seemed to be enough. I remember one particularly painful incident during my junior year of high school. I had made it to the state finals for debate and it was a big deal. The competition was on a Saturday and I had been preparing for weeks. I asked my parents if they would come watch, and they initially agreed. I was so excited, finally, they would see what I was capable of. The morning of the competition, I came downstairs ready to go, only to find my parents in their pajamas. They looked surprised to see me dressed up and asked where I was going. When I reminded them about the debate finals, my dad's face fell. He said, "Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry. We forgot that was today. Cassie has a big swim meet and we promised we'd be there." I was crushed. I ended up taking the bus to the competition alone. I won first place that day, but it felt hollow. When I got home and tried to share my excitement, my parents were too busy celebrating Cassie's third-place finish in her swim meet to really listen. That night, I cried myself to sleep, clutching my trophy and wondering why I wasn't enough. Things came to a head last month on my 18th birthday. After years of disappointment, I had modest expectations, maybe a nice family dinner or small celebration. Instead, my parents completely forgot. I came downstairs that morning to find them excitedly planning Cassie's 22nd birthday party happening the following week. They were discussing caterers and decorations, completely oblivious to the fact that it was my birthday. When I reminded them, my mom just said, "Oh right, happy birthday sweetie," without even looking up from her party planning notebook. I was crushed. I retreated to my room and cried for hours. Later that evening, I overheard my parents and Cassie laughing and chatting in the living room. I went downstairs, hoping maybe they had planned a surprise for me after all. Instead, I found them watching home movies of Cassie as a kid. They didn't even acknowledge me when I walked in. That was the last straw. I couldn't hold back anymore and I exploded. I told them how hurt and neglected I've felt all these years. How it's not fair that Cassie gets all the love and attention while I'm treated like an afterthought. How I'm sick of feeling invisible in my own family. I brought up all the missed events, the forgotten promises, the constant comparisons to Cassie. Years of pent-up hurt and anger came pouring out. My parents were shocked. They tried to dismiss my feelings and said I was being dramatic. My dad told me to stop being jealous of my sister and to grow up. Cassie just sat there looking uncomfortable, not saying a word to defend me. I was so angry and hurt that I stormed out of the house. I spent the night at my best friend Mia's place, crying and ranting about my family. When I came home the next day, things were tense. My parents acted like nothing had happened. I tried to talk to them again about how I was feeling, but they shut me down. My mom said I needed to get over my issues with Cassie and stop causing drama. She suggested that maybe I was just stressed about starting college soon and that's why I was acting out. It was like they couldn't even consider the possibility that they had done anything wrong. For the next few weeks, I felt like a ghost in my own home. My parents barely spoke to me beyond basic necessities. Cassie avoided me completely. The atmosphere was suffocating. I threw myself into my part-time job at a local cafe, picking up extra shifts just to avoid being at home. Things finally boiled over again last week. I came home from work to find my parents excitedly helping Cassie pack for a summer trip to Europe, a graduation gift they had surprised her with. They were discussing all the places she should visit and restaurants to try, laughing and joking like one big happy family. Meanwhile, I'm about to start college in the fall and they haven't offered me a dime of support. I don't even know if they remember which college I'm going to. I lost it. All the hurt and resentment came pouring out again. I yelled at my parents for their blatant favoritism. I told Cassie she was selfish for always accepting their preferential treatment without ever standing up for me. I brought up every instance of unfairness I could remember, the forgotten birthdays, the missed debates, the constant praise heaped on Cassie while I was ignored. It turned into a huge blow-up with everyone screaming. In the heat of the moment, my dad told me that if I was so unhappy, I should just leave. So I did. I packed a bag with some clothes and my most important belongings and walked out. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay in that house anymore. Now I'm crashing on Mia's couch, trying to figure out what to do next. I start college in a month and have no idea how I'm going to pay for it or where I'm going to live. My parents haven't reached out at all since I left. It's like they're relieved to finally be rid of me. I'm hurt and angry but also scared about my future. Part of me wants to try to reconcile with my family, but another part feels like this might be my chance to finally break free from their toxic treatment. I could really use some advice on how to move forward from here. Should I try to mend things with my parents? Go no contact? How do I even begin to plan for college now? Any words of wisdom would be appreciated. Update 1. Hey everyone, thanks for all the supportive comments on my last post. I wanted to give an update on my situation. It's been about 2 weeks since I left home and I'm still staying with my friend Mia. Her parents have been really understanding and told me I can stay as long as I need to. I'm incredibly grateful, but I know I can't impose on them forever. It's a bit awkward living in someone else's space, especially knowing I have no clear plan for the future. I've been trying to figure out my next steps, especially with college starting soon. I reached out to the financial aid office at my university to explain my situation. They were sympathetic but said there wasn't much they could do this late in the game. They suggested I look into emergency student loans, but I'm hesitant to take on a lot of debt. The thought of starting my adult life deep in the red is pretty scary. I also got in touch with my grandpa, Robert, 72M. He's always been pretty neutral in family conflicts, so I wasn't sure how he'd react. To give you some background, Grandpa Robert is my dad's father. He's a retired high school teacher who lives about an hour away from us. Growing up, we'd see him a few times a year for holidays and special occasions. He was always kind to both me and Cassie, but he wasn't really involved in our day-to-day lives. To my surprise, he was furious when I told him everything that had happened. He said he had no idea things were so bad and that he was disappointed in how my parents had treated me. He shared some insights about my dad's childhood that I'd never known before. Apparently, my dad had always been desperate for approval from his own parents, and Grandpa Robert wondered if that might be part of why he put so much pressure on Cassie to succeed. It didn't excuse his behavior, but it gave me a bit more context. Grandpa Robert offered to help me out financially so I can still attend college this fall. He said he'd cover my tuition and housing costs for the first year, which is a huge relief. I broke down crying when he told me. It felt like the first time someone in my family was truly in my corner. We spent hours on the phone, catching up and talking about my plans for the future. It was nice to feel like someone in my family actually cared about my thoughts and feelings. With the immediate financial pressure off, I've been trying to process everything emotionally. I still haven't heard a word from my parents or Cassie. Their silence hurts, but it also confirms that I made the right choice in leaving. I'm realizing more and more how toxic that environment was. I've started journaling to help sort through my feelings. It's bringing up a lot of memories, both good and bad, that I'm trying to make sense of. I did have one encounter with my mom last week. I went back to the house while my parents were at work to pick up some more of my belongings. As I was leaving, my mom pulled into the driveway. She seemed surprised to see me and asked what I was doing there. When I explained I was just getting some of my stuff, she got upset and accused me of sneaking around and stealing. I tried to stay calm and told her these were my belongings that I had every right to take. She started yelling that I was ungrateful and that I was tearing the family apart. As she was yelling, I noticed some of our neighbors watching from their porches. It was humiliating. My mom has always been obsessed with keeping up appearances, and here she was causing a scene for everyone to see. I didn't engage and just left as quickly as I could, but the interaction left me shaken. That encounter made me realize how deep the issues run. My mom couldn't even see me as an individual with my own needs and rights. Everything was about how it affected her and her image of our perfect family. It was eye-opening and heartbreaking at the same time. I'm still figuring out how to move forward from here. I'm looking into therapy options to help me process everything. The university I'm planning to attend offers free counseling services to students, so I'm hoping to take advantage of that once the semester starts. In the meantime, I've been reading some self-help books about dealing with difficult families. They're helping me understand that I'm not alone in my experiences. I'm also focusing on practical matters like finding a part-time job and sorting out my living situation for when school starts. I've been applying to every job listing I can find in the college town where I'll be living. So far, I've had a few interviews but no solid offers. It's disheartening, but I'm trying to stay positive. As for housing, I'm looking into off-campus options since they tend to be cheaper than the dorms. I've joined some Facebook groups for students looking for roommates. It's a bit nerve-wracking to think about living with strangers, but it seems like the most affordable option right now. Part of me is scared about the future and going it alone. I've never lived away from home before, and the thought of navigating college and adult life without any family support is daunting. But another part feels a sense of freedom I've never experienced before. For the first time, I feel like I have control over my own life and choices. It's both exhilarating and terrifying. I've been spending a lot of time with Mia, and she's been an incredible support. We've been friends since middle school, and she's seen firsthand how my family has treated me over the years. She's always been there to listen and offer a shoulder to cry on. Her parents have been amazing too. They've been treating me like part of the family, including me in their meals and family activities. It's bittersweet. It's nice to feel welcomed and cared for, but it also highlights what I've been missing with my own family. I'll keep you all updated as things progress. Thanks again for all the support. It means more than you know. It's comforting to know that there are people out there who understand and care, even if they're strangers on the internet. Update 2. Hi everyone, I'm back with another update. Things have taken an unexpected turn and I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed. So, remember how I mentioned my grandpa Robert had offered to help me out financially? Well, apparently that did not go over well with my parents. Last weekend, my grandpa called me and he sounded really upset. He told me that my parents had found out about his offer to pay for my college expenses and they were furious. According to my grandpa, my parents showed up at his house unannounced and confronted him. They accused him of undermining their parenting and taking sides in a family matter. My dad apparently went as far as to threaten to cut off all contact with my grandpa if he went through with helping me. It got pretty heated, with my dad saying things like she made her choice to leave, now she has to deal with the consequences. I felt horrible. The last thing I wanted was to cause problems between my grandpa and the rest of the family. When I told him this, he reassured me that none of this was my fault. He said he was disappointed in my parents' behavior and that he stood by his decision to help me. He told me a bit more about the argument, including how my mom had accused me of manipulating him for money. It hurt to hear that they think so little of me. However, the situation has gotten more complicated. My grandpa revealed that a significant portion of his savings was tied up in a joint account with my dad. Apparently, they had set this up years ago to manage some family property. He's worried that my dad might try to block his access to the money out of spite. He's looking into his legal options, but it's going to take some time to sort out. This has thrown my college plans into uncertainty again. My grandpa still wants to help, but he's not sure how much he'll be able to contribute now. He's promised to do what he can, but he advised me to start looking into other options just in case. I'm back to scrambling to figure out how I'm going to afford school. On top of all this financial stress, I'm dealing with a lot of guilt. I feel responsible for causing this rift between my grandpa and my parents. Even though I know logically that it's not my fault, it's hard not to blame myself. I keep thinking about how things might have been different if I had just kept my mouth shut and endured my parents' treatment for a few more months until I left for college. I'm also angry. It feels like my parents are going out of their way to sabotage my future. They're not content with just cutting me off, they want to make sure I can't get help from anyone else in the family either. It's cruel and petty, and it's making me question whether I ever want to have a relationship with them again. I've been throwing myself into job hunting, hoping to at least save up some money before school starts. I've had a few interviews, but nothing solid yet. The clock is ticking and I'm starting to panic a bit. I've been applying for every job I can find, retail, food service, office work, you name it. I even looked into online tutoring gigs, thinking I could use my debate skills to help other students. So far, no luck. Mia and her family continue to be incredibly supportive. They've told me I can stay with them through the school year if I need to. I'm beyond grateful, but I also feel like a burden. I know they have their own lives and responsibilities. Mia's starting college too, and I don't want my drama to overshadow her excitement. I've been trying to contribute as much as I can around their house, doing chores, helping with cooking, anything to feel less like a freeloader. Mia's mom keeps telling me not to worry about it, but it's hard not to feel guilty. I'm trying to stay positive and focus on the things I can control, but some days it's really hard. The uncertainty about my future is eating away at me. I've started having trouble sleeping, lying awake at night worrying about what's going to happen. I'm doing my best to take things one day at a time, but I can't help worrying about what's going to happen. I've thought about reaching out to my parents, but every time I consider it, I remember how they've treated me and I just can't bring myself to do it. Part of me hopes they'll come around and apologize, but I know that's probably wishful thinking. I'll update again when I have more news. Thanks for listening and for all your support. It really helps to have a place to share all of this. Update 3. Hey everyone, I've got another update for you, and honestly, I'm not sure how to feel about it all. So, yesterday I got a call from my sister Cassie. I was shocked. I hadn't heard from her since I left home over a month ago. At first, I was hopeful. I thought maybe she was reaching out to apologize or offer support. But that hope quickly faded. Cassie started the conversation by telling me how much chaos I'd caused in the family. She said my parents were stressed and fighting constantly because of me. She accused me of being selfish and not considering how my actions were affecting everyone else. It was like she was reading from a script our parents had given her. I tried to explain my side of things, but she wouldn't listen. She kept talking over me, saying I needed to apologize and come home. When I refused, she got angry. She said I was ruining her life too. Apparently my parents are so preoccupied with this situation that they're not paying as much attention to her anymore. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After years of being the golden child, Cassie couldn't handle not being the center of attention for a few weeks. The conversation ended with Cassie giving me an ultimatum. She said if I didn't come home and apologize by the end of the week, I should consider myself cut off from the family permanently. She said my parents were prepared to write me out of their will and pretend I never existed. It was surreal hearing my sister, who I grew up with and once looked up to, speaking to me this way. I was stunned. I knew things were bad, but I never expected it to come to this. After everything I've been through, after years of neglect and favoritism, they're still trying to make me the bad guy. It's like they can't even consider the possibility that they might be in the wrong. I'm hurt and angry, but also weirdly relieved. This whole situation has made it crystal clear that my family's love and support were always conditional. They only wanted me around as long as I played my designated role and didn't rock the boat. It's painful to accept, but it's also freeing in a way. I no longer have to twist myself into knots trying to win their approval. As for my college situation, I've managed to cobble together a plan. I've deferred my enrollment for a semester to give myself more time to save money. It wasn't an easy decision, but it feels like the right one. I found a full-time job at a local restaurant and I'm picking up as many shifts as I can. It's not ideal, but it's a start. The work is hard and the hours are long, but it feels good to be doing something productive. My grandpa is still trying to sort out the financial situation with my dad. He's consulted a lawyer and is looking into separating their shared assets. He's promised to help me as soon as he's able, which gives me some hope for the future. He calls me every few days to check in, which means a lot. It's nice to know that at least one family member cares about my well-being. Mia and her family continue to be my rocks through all of this. They've assured me I can stay with them as long as I need. I'm working on saving up for my own place, but it's going to take some time. In the meantime, I'm trying to be a good houseguest, keeping my space clean, helping with chores, and giving them privacy when they need it. As for Cassie's ultimatum, I've decided not to respond. I'm not going to let them manipulate me anymore. If they want to cut me off, that's their choice. It hurts, but I'm starting to realize that I'm better off without their toxic influence in my life. I've spent too many years trying to win their love and approval. It's time to focus on loving and approving of myself. I'm focusing on moving forward and building a life for myself on my own terms. It's scary and overwhelming at times, but it also feels liberating. For the first time, I'm in control of my own story. I'm starting to think about what I want for my future, not what my parents want for me. It's exciting, even amidst all the uncertainty. Thank you all for your continued support through this journey. Your kind words and advice have meant the world to me. I'll update again if anything significant happens, but for now, I'm just taking it one day at a time. Here's to hoping that the next chapter of my life will be brighter than the last.